Sit back and check out the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, boys and girls, what is going on? Lee Sanders back with you all for another edition of the RCWR Show this July 21st, 2025. How the hell y'all been, man? I hope y'all had a fantastic weekend and you've been doing your best to stay cool. Ooh, we've had some nice humid-like temperatures, but it is finally starting to get just a little bit cooler. Honestly, I cannot wait until late September comes, because that's when we get that nice, cool, crisp summer breeze that's going on and everything. Looking forward to it. Hey, what did y'all think about tonight's WWE RAW Sound Off? Your man know you can definitely interact on our interactive poll available right now. YouTube.com/the RCWR Show Kick. Post section. That's what you want. Click on the post section. Vote that way. You can also vote on Twitter at the RCWR Show. We'll poke our head into the votes later on. See what you guys are thinking. Yo, can you believe it? May not quite feel like it, but it's amazing how SummerSlam has essentially creeped up on us. We are less than 2 weeks away from SummerSlam. And I gotta tell you, I don't know how it feels to you. You all definitely give me your input. Let me know. But it feels like WWE is really scrambling here trying to get this entire 2-night event card together, does it not? I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of the matches that we get to look forward to now that it's really starting to take shape, you're going, yeah, this should be pretty, but it still just feels like it's been a bit of a scramble with the totality of everything that's been happening with WWE these past several weeks and all the shows that they've had to string together in such a short notice. Yeah, you picked a great night to tune in. Not only are we going to be talking about WWE RAW, I will be revisiting some thoughts as far as the TNA Slamversary show. Give you my final stamp on that. By the way, appreciate those of you that had checked out that special Sunday night edition. For one night only, at least, we brought back Impact Showdown. That was a beloved series of mine where I talked all things TNA wrestling, including the newest episodes of TNA Impact. We had that show on hiatus for over 4 years, and yet we brought it back over the weekend to cover Slamversary. A solid show overall. So if you're expecting me to maybe go in depth about Slamversary, it ain't happening on this show, but I will circle back later on during this broadcast and just revisit the overall rating that I gave the event, whether or not I still stand behind it. You know how we do it here. Usually after a major pay-per-view goes by, after the morning after or the day after, we pretty much go, yeah, about that. Like, are we still, we're still kind of, or has it changed? We're also going to talk about Bill Goldberg's recent comments on the Ariel Helwani show. I have not had an opportunity to sound off on that. You will appreciate what I have to say. And then we've got some sad entertainment news that we'll be talking about as a beloved 80s kid star from a hit TV show. I love this actor to death. He passed away over the weekend. We'll definitely give him his respective flowers later on during the broadcast. It does tie into wrestling, as it is pretty wrestling related when you think about in which how this actor had passed away. So, a lot that we're going to be getting into on tonight's broadcast. So, a little bit of an interesting note as far as tonight's WWE Raw. We can definitely talk about a lot of the things that went right. We can also go over some of the things that went wrong. Like overall, for me, just giving my knee jerk reaction minutes removed after Raw has gone off the air. I mean, look, we got the updated lineup for the SummerSlam card, so kudos to WWE for making even more progress and getting us one step closer to that and everything. It felt like an above average episode. I'll definitely give it that. 12 days away from SummerSlam felt like an above average edition. CM Punk kicking things off. I was a little bit concerned though what was going on with CM Punk because it seemed like his entrance just kept playing and it was an eternity. You're wondering, okay, is he finishing up a donut, a muffin? What's going on with this guy? But he finally came out. And, I was here on this show last week when we reminisced over the fact that Punk won the tournament. He's now the new number one contender to take on Gunther for that World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. And I was here literally last week saying to you guys, yo, I expect for fireworks to definitely be popping just on the mics alone between these two guys. So I eagerly was anticipating this verbal matchup between these guys. CM Punk coming out there, kicking things off, realizing this opportunity that he has that's in front of him and everything, and that he's looking forward to locking it up with Gunther. He's not promising a win, but that with the fans' support, he's pretty much going to be doing any and everything possible to put his best effort, best intentions at heart in getting the job accomplished and everything. When it's all said and done, he's going to leave it all in the ring. He's going to make it be all about maximum effort against Gunther at SummerSlam. That pretty much was it in a nutshell. I mean, it was a good little rah-rah speech. Then Gunther comes out. You're going, okay, so Gunther should definitely make things pop off here, for sure. Gunther, of course, still fresh off of retiring Goldberg. Boy, this crowd was not letting Gunther have the night off. So it was very, very obvious who's the bad guy and who's the good guy here in this and everything. Uh, I love how Gunther handled himself here, staring down the crowd, belittling them, verbally bashing them and everything. Gunther saying, look, you and I were definitely both very similar. We're here to make money. It's not about friends. It's about making money and winning championships. That's what we're both all about. We both consider ourselves to be the best in the world, but where the line kind of draws, like even if you were to make the case of they both have egos, Gunther even went that far and was like, look, we definitely both got the egos and everything, but where things diverge is when it comes to results. Pretty much Gunther letting it be known to CM Punk's face, you're just all about talk. I'm definitely all about the results. And from there, Gunther tells CM Punk that by the time he's done with him, Punk is gonna wish that he never got into a wrestling ring. More specifically, he's gonna wish that he never got back into a wrestling ring. And that pretty much was it for that segment as Gunther took himself and his championship out the ring and kept right on going. Punk just standing there, kind of, wait, that's it? I don't know. Kind of weird. Kind of really weird for me because I was expecting for more sparks to fly with these two in the ring. I really, really was expecting to just Rather than it's an instant Acme feud, an instant Acme match, I was really expecting, okay, yeah, we know you two are going to have a match at SummerSlam, but like what we need right here, as I've been saying on the show for years, is emotional context. And that's what I was looking for right here. But it kind of seems like in this particular area, WWE is mainly relying on just two of your favorites in the ring for this championship. It's all you need. Okay. All right. I don't know. Maybe Punk and Gunther can continue it on social media, kick it up a notch and all that, leading up to even, what is that, SummerSlam kickoff? I would imagine SummerSlam kickoff is going to be a 2-day event. I mean, makes a lot of sense, right? I'm pretty sure they had did that couple of years consecutively now and everything. Meanwhile, Byron Saxton, always good seeing Byron Saxton chatting it up there with Stephanie Vakir. But before she could even really put a word in there, she gets interrupted by yeah, because Byron Saxton was with Stephanie Vakir. Naomi interrupted. That's how I'm remembering it. By the way, as far as everything that had happened from WWE Evolution a couple of weeks ago, I love seeing WWE continue to show the women some love. Definitely more heavy oriented women segments here tonight. But then remember, we had that week there where going into Evolution weekend, we pretty much had nothing but women's segments and like one men's match. Now, we got a little bit of a better balance this week, but still there was a lot of love shown to the women this go round. But anyway, Byron chatting it up there with Stephanie Vakir. Naomi interrupts, and I just love how Naomi, I really, really feel this girl is now Pam from Martin. She just shows up, butchers the hell out of Vakir's name, and even says whatever you call yourself. I love that. She's unimpressed with Stephanie Vakir, and pretty much tells her if she knows what's best for her, pretty much stay up out of her face. But she'll definitely see her around at Clash in Paris. Peace out. Pretty much that was it. Men's action, first match on tonight's show. Sheamus and Rusev, banger after banger after banger after banger. Damn good matchup. I love seeing these two go at it here. Let me see these two guys at SummerSlam. I think I speak on behalf of a lot of fans. We're liking what we're getting from these two. We're eating this up. This is one of the most guilty pleasures of the night. And for me personally, just look, I've been happy with Rusev being back in the WWE, but man, what he was doing as the whole redeemer in AEW, I know to a certain extent WWE cannot literally rip that and use that in the WWE. They gotta, because for starters, you gotta make sure you don't get into legal territory there. You don't need a potential lawsuit and all that. I get that, but I really, really love the Redeemer character. My whole point of bringing all of that up is to say this. Rusev has just been floating since returning to the WWE. He's felt very hollow. And although I love seeing Rusev and Sheamus go after one another week after week, banger after banger, can we address the real elephant in the room here? What is this really about? What's causing all of this? Why? Why is it that these two guys who at one point used to be on the same team, it kind of seemed as though they used to be brothers, used to be my homie, like now they are just on opposite sides of the world. And I really, my challenge to WWE would be, again, emotional context. Emotional context. That's what we need here. And I don't care if it's something as simple as, yo, my darkest days that came leading up to when I was released by this company, all the problems that I was having with my wife, right down to the point that she was frolicking and having relations with other men in front of my face. You know this. And just that's a nice nod to Bobby Lashley and everything. Okay. And for Rusev to basically go when all this was going down, and then I ultimately got released by the company. You know who I heard from as far as, yo, everything's gonna be all right. Just wait and see. Just, it'll be okay. I heard from this person. I heard from that person. Hell, I even heard from Cody Rhodes, or I heard he could do whatever and say, the one person that I did not hear from, I did not hear from you, Sheamus. And what the hell was going on with you? What was what was having you be in a position where you couldn't pick up a phone? I'm supposed to be your friend. I'm supposed to be your bro. How come you couldn't pick up the phone or text me? Hell, shoot me an email. I got nothing from you. I didn't even get anything from you during the holidays. And as we all know, Sheamus was having his own health issues over the recent years to the point that he was thinking whether or not he was really going to continue on wrestling. And luckily, Sheamus is still in there. But do you feel where I'm coming from? We need that emotional context to really come into play here, and everything. This was definitely, since Rusev has been back, now it feels as though Rusev has purpose again. It finally seems like, okay, now he's on that groove. Now there's some substance. There's a little bit of meaningful context here with Rusev in WWE. It just doesn't feel like, well, he's not doing anything, right? So seems that WWE Creative is finally figuring it out, but we need to continue to string everything together. Definitely that emotional context we need and everything. But since Sheamus and Rusev have been going at it on Raw these past couple of weeks, I would say to date with what they did tonight, definitely the better matchup. Sheamus picking up the win. Did about a 12-minute match, give or take. One little caveat I want to bring up in regards to this matchup, however, I wasn't a fan of the finish. So basically, Rusev tried to go for Sheamus's shillelagh. And somehow the referee, he just decides, oh, turnbuckle exposed. Let me just chill in the corner here and fix this. Doop, 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 doop. And Rusev tries to swing that shillelagh. Sheamus manages to counter it, and then he just bro kicks the living hell out of Rusev. Knocks Rusev out cold, goes in for the cover. 1, 2, 3, match is over. Now here's my problem. And this is from a technical directing standpoint as far as where you need to have your cameramen or women. And okay, do you have the shot? Do you have the shot? Okay, I need you to get a tight shot. Need you to get a tight shot. Need you to get a tight shot. Go tighter. Go tighter. Okay, that's it. We're gonna come to you in about 30 seconds. Get ready. I'm gonna cue you, right? And camera 3. Okay, go. You're on, right? Like, here's the issue. When Sheamus picked up the win, we get this nice wide shot. And clear as day, the shillelagh is still in the ring. And I thought for sure, like, visually, I'm looking at this going, why are they showing us this? Is it possible that maybe the referee is going to see this and then he's going to go, no, 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 no. And he's going to go holler at Alicia Taylor and say, no, no, no. Due to disqualification, actually, Rusev picks up the win. And I thought for sure that's the direction that we were going in. Now, for those of you that did not see Raw tonight, but maybe you're going to go check it out afterwards, okay? Peep that match, peep the end of it. You'll see what I'm talking about. And you'll agree, like, wow, that is a pretty wide shot, and it's pretty evident that shillelagh is in there clear as day. That's my one little caveat with that. Kind of. Other than that, the match was pretty good. Meanwhile, we got to see Ludwig Kaiser as El Grande Americano. Boy, was he butchering Spanish, but I'll give him credit. He speaks better Spanish than I do. Okay. Poquito. Muy. Poquito. Oof, my Spanish. I enough to do what I need to do, but Kaiser can definitely give me a couple of lessons. Dragon Lee interrupts this talking segment and pretty much tells Americano, dude, you are an embarrassment. You are not real Mexican. You are not real luchador. It's an insult. Boom. Instant Acme feud. These two are pretty much brawling. Security detail has to break these guys up. Love it. Totally down with that. Of course, we get the preview for the upcoming WWE Unreal show that's going to be premiering on Netflix next week. If y'all want to learn how the sausage is made, pretty much knock yourselves out. Me, I am going in a different direction. I'm not going to watch it. I'm just, there's just some things that, some things are better left unsaid. That's all I'm saying. Moving right along. Triple threat match. Number one contender. Tag team titles. Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde. I did not know these guys were still in WWE. I'm not trying to make a bad joke. I'm just being straight up honest with you. I had no idea these guys were still with the WWE. The LWO boys, as I like to call them, going up against Brutus and Julius Creed and the New Days, Xavier and Kofi Woods. Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde picking up the win. An okay tag match. Okay. Especially when you're following the storyline of what's currently going on with New Day and New Day's in mourning, yet they're trying to get back on the rebound and everything, trying to win back their tag titles and everything, right? So you've got that going on. LWO winning, I mean, that really came from out of nowhere. I would have thought that creative would have gone in the direction of the Creed brothers, because remember what Chad Gable said to American Made before he went off to go get his surgery. Not only did he say, yo, Ivy Now is in charge, which, by the way, WWE, we need to see more of Ivy Now. That's my challenge to you guys going forward. We got to see more of Ivy Now in that role, really being that rah-rah coach, that pep talk girl that's trying to make sure that American Made are all on the same page and everything. And as Chad told them, yo, when I come back, y'all need to be holding some type of gold. Like, that's what's up. So I was a little bit surprised to see LWO pick up this win, considering very inconsistent on main WWE television. This W just really came from out of nowhere. So yeah, I'm curious to see how they're going to be built up over the next little bit. But if you were to try to sell to me right now that, no, these are the guys that ultimately are going to be going in the SummerSlam for shot at the tag titles, I'm going, what? You guys sound off on that one. Let me know what you think. Meanwhile, Io Sky and the Kabuki Warriors came together in the locker room talking about their future championship aspirations and everything. Stephanie Vakir enters the scene and says she wants to face Io in Paris. And Io's like, yo, we ain't got to wait till Paris. We can go ahead and do this right here tonight. Let's go ahead and do it. So we had that match going down. I was going to talk about that match later on, but since we got a nice, good, smooth transitioning, nice setup and all that, we can definitely go on ahead and talk about that match. This was good. You know what? This match in general, this felt like a nice B-side to what all was going on at the Evolution pay-per-view. Quite honestly, I mean, I enjoyed this. As far as matches of the night, I secretly I enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed this one. Stephanie Vakir picking up the win via disqualification, but I got issues with that. I really do, because on the one hand, at least you can have Io say to Stephanie, yo, you might have won by disqualification, but we know why you won. Like, that really doesn't count. But then what really should have honestly happened was it should have been a case where both women got disqualified. Like the match was just basically thrown out. That's really what should have happened. And I blame WWE Creative for this because this really should have been left unresolved. So, how did we get to this point where Stephanie picked up the win via disqualification? Well, it was simple because in the final moments of this matchup, Stephanie Valkyria had knocked out her service, Piper Niven and Alba Fire, but didn't quite see Chelsea Green pretty much showing up there. Didn't anticipate Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green coming in there, getting in a nice little attack from behind, and essentially that is how Stephanie Valkyria picks up the win. That's not how it should have gone down. It really should have been a no contest. You should have had Chelsea Green and you should have had the Her Service take out both girls pretty much at the same time. That's honestly how you should have done it. You should have had the referee look on confused, like, what the hell? And right when he was getting ready to call for the bell for, then when he sees the other girl is being attacked, he can just, okay, let's just throw this out. And then that's how you get yourself a no contest. And you can easily go back and revisit Stephanie Valkyria and E.O. Scott. That would have been the smarter way to go, honestly. But yeah, nice little beatdown that was going on there. Even Naomi got involved, getting in a couple of licks in there on Stephanie Valkyria. Ultimately, Rhea Ripley, big difference maker, coming out there for the save and everything, because at one point it looked like it was about to be a 3-on-1 beatdown till Rhea got in there. Pretty nice, badass moment as all the dust cleared. Bad guys rolled out, and we see Rhea Ripley, Stephanie Valkyria, and EO all in the ring. And then we get the rundown for the SummerSlam card, where one of the matches that we find out off the break, Naomi will be defending that women's championship against Rhea Ripley and EO Sky. That should be a damn good matchup. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. Elsewhere on the card for this evening, of course, we got to show love to the Judgment Day. Judgment Day showing up in style. This is the week that Dominic Mysterio is supposed to have his whole evaluation. And AJ Styles just kept trolling all throughout the night. One of the first times that we see AJ, he's dressed up as a valet boy that gets the keys from Dominic's ride there with Judgment Day. And Dom is just spooked like a mofo. Later on in the show, we see AJ dressed up as a janitor as he's mopping up near Dominic and saying to him, yo, your medical test, it better be cleared by the time I get done mopping this floor. I love it. Yeah, ultimately, Adam Pearce had to talk with Dom and say, yo, either I'm going to strip you of your championship, or you're going to get this medical evaluation and we're going to know what the real deal is. But either way, before the night is out, we're going to know what's going on with you. Dom very reluctant about that. AJ later on trying to find out what was going on with Dom. Adam Pearce was waiting on word from the official, WWE official in medical. The guy comes out, says that he's still running some tests or whatnot. Next thing you know, AJ gets sucker attacked from out of nowhere. Turns out it was Dom. AJ laid flat on his ass as Dom tells him, you know, hey, wouldn't you know that? It looks like I'm cleared. So, yeah, AJ, I'll see you at SummerSlam. Peace. So that match is officially on. That's what's up. Let's address something. We'll tie in two birds with one stone. AJ and TNA. Let's go ahead, since we're just literally, it's right there. It's staring at us and everything. So the night after, all right, we're a little bit more than 24 hours removed now from TNA Slamversary, which was a very solid event overall. I'm well aware of a lot of the comments that have just been continuing to grow from people that honestly were not a fan. Ultimately, of the fact that the TNA Knockouts Championship and the TNA World Heavyweight Championship are now around the waist of WWE guys. That's what really is upsetting the hell out of TNA fans, right down to the point when you look at the poll that we have up on YouTube, like everybody that did take the time out that actually saw the pay-per-view and they decided to vote, let their voices be heard, they all are voting thumbs down for the Slammiversary event. Even at the time that we're doing this right now, those that did see the pay-per-view, thumbs down. Meanwhile, a more, okay, that's a better snapshot what's happening here. Over on Twitter, it's 50-50. It's 50-50 for Slammiversary. One thing that left a bit of a sour taste in people's mouths was the way AJ Styles was handled in returning there to TNA. A lot of people were scratching their heads. They were expecting so much more from AJ, and they felt very disappointed. As I had said on the Slammiversary post show, it felt as though AJ Styles just showed up. Hey, what's up? I'm just here to get myself a plate. Don't mind me. Keep doing what you're doing. Now, it was great that he gave that nod, that great endorsement to Leon Slater. That's definitely, I mean, that was cool. But, man, it's been 11 years and just all the history, everything, considering, wow, this is a historic, and it's just, hey, how you doing? Ain't great being here. You're a great crowd. Well, enjoy the rest of the show. So I get where a lot of you guys are coming from. And then, as we mentioned on the Slammiversary post show, I mentioned how Karrion, when it came to the main event match, he was asked about, hey, what do you think about AJ Styles, returning to TNA, and Frankie Kazarian's response to that and everything. Well, now a little bit more information has come to light on that whole situation with AJ Styles. Shout out to John Alba, as John Alba was chatting it up with TNA president Carlos Silva, who said that creative plans for AJ Styles changed a few times leading to the event, but the original plan was always to celebrate AJ's X Division history. Alba reports that multiple TNA sources relay that the former WWE champion in AJ Styles was expected to be in a segment involving Frankie Kazarian, but that plan shifted in the hours before the event. Alba continued in his report, TNA sources believe WWE may have had some say and not wanting to promise a future match in the promotion for Styles that they weren't going to deliver on, as no main roster talent has worked a TNA match so far during the partnership. So, kind of interesting what's going on there in the weeds of things. I still feel, though, from what I had said on the Slammiversary post show, as far as will or won't he, AJ Styles, will he do something with TNA wrestling as far as a match goes? Yes, it'll definitely happen. The real thing that should be on your all's minds is that timeline. How is it looking exactly? And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe by the time we get to Bound for Glory, or if maybe before the year is out, something happens. Then remember, Bound for Glory is going to be coming up on Sunday, October 12th in Massachusetts. So maybe by then something will happen. But definitely, I'm being more realistic. I'm being more realistic, and I feel that before the year is out, AJ will be doing something there with TNA as far as a wrestling match goes. So part of me honestly felt that something's not quite right. Maybe they couldn't agree. And so it's just one of those, well, let's just do this instead, and then we'll just at a later date, we'll figure it out. We'll cross that bridge again. And so I'm down with that. I'm down with that. So look, don't rush into it. Remember that? I said that on the Slamversary post show. I said, don't do the instant gratification. Just feel your way out. Now, look, again, AJ, as far as that whole one more match thing and all that, I wish AJ would have ended his segment no matter what. After endorsing Leon Slater, I wish AJ would have said to the crowd, hey, guys, I promise you, I'll see y'all later. And just left it at that. That way, fans can interpret that the way they want. That gives them hope. That gives them, right? But yeah, no, it was pretty flat the way that had ended. Now, we're continuing to talk about TNA because something that the American audience, oh my God, I envy the hell out of you guys overseas when it comes to your Netflix. I don't know. I might have to look into some VPN and then I can just get to watch everything on Netflix. But for you guys outside of America, you got a special treat. So when Raw tonight took a commercial break, Vic Joseph was chatting it up live in the crowd with TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Mr. Trick-N-A himself, Trick Williams. And man, this was a fire promo. It was like about 90 minutes. This was a fire promo that Trick Williams had where I just died laughing. Not only did Trick really do a good job in setting up what ultimately is to come there in promoting tomorrow night's NXT on the CW, but on top of that, Trick Williams did a phenomenal job in throwing shade on The Undertaker, because as we had talked about, I think it was last week, we mentioned that for this week's NXT, the second season LFG coaches, Bubba Ray, Undertaker, Michelle McCool, Booker T, they all are supposed to be in the house. I think Shawn Michaels is maybe even going to appear as well. So here's what I got. I want to load up the audio for you because I know how WWE is when it comes to the visuals. So we don't want to get in trouble. But I do want to play the audio for you guys because this was just hilarious. All right, let's see if we can load this up for you guys here. Let me crank this up. And it runs about, I would say, maybe like a minute and 50. So let me just load this up.
NXT champ. I ain't worried about no doubters. I ain't worried about no fans. I'm worried about me. I'm worried about this gold. You talking to your former Iron Survivor winner, your one-time North American champ, your two-time NXT champ, your TNA, your Trick-N-A champion. Let's talk about it.
Look, I like your confidence. I've known you for a long time, since the first day you stepped into the Performance Center. I know how confident you are. I know that you want to silence all those. I know you want everyone to believe in you, but there's still one man who questions you, and you're going to confront that individual tomorrow right here in Houston at the 713 Music Hall live on NXT. That man, that phenom, I should say, that you're going to confront is none other than The Undertaker.
You know, the truth is, I ain't got no problem with The Undertaker. The Undertaker got a problem with me. It was his LFG boy sitting in the way after I had a match. So I stood on business and I told him to move. But Undertaker, since you want to talk, let's talk then. Because you out here popping off like your knees ain't got no expiration date. Matter of fact, I'm glad you like to roll your eyes to the back of your head, because I might just knock your ass out tomorrow, huh? Come on. And you can keep tweeting if you want to. Tomorrow might be your last ride. Let's talk about that.
Strong words from Trick Williams. It's Trick Williams confronting The Undertaker tomorrow here in Houston. Also,
Genius. I loved it. My man gets like a minute 50. But it's the most memorable minute 50. Why were we denied this? I gotta say, if there was ever a time, especially on the WWE side of things, wow, we've got this WWE guy that's holding on to a TNA championship, fresh off of a really well received TNA Slamversary pay per view event. If there was ever a time to throw a couple of bones out there and go, hey, we had a pretty busy weekend at some of our WWE stars. Like, if there was ever a time for WWE to have Michael Cole and Corey Graves, yo, look at what our WWE guys did at TNA Slamversary. We got a new Knockouts champion as JC Jane. Is now the new Knockouts champion, and she's holding on to the NXT Women's Championship. Hey, look at what Trick Williams did. Trick Williams survived Joe Hendry and Mike Santana to retain the TNA World Championship. Man, what do you think is going to be in store with these champs come this week's NXT on the CW? You guys definitely want to make sure that you tune in. I know TNA fans will. Boy, have you seen how pissed off they are? I mean, definitely, at least you could have blurred the lines there a little bit, right? You're doing enough selling where both companies are pretty much basking in the glory. This was just a total fumble as far as I was concerned. I wasn't a fan of that whatsoever, but it's nice to see that our friends overseas had shared this on social media, because it's one of those when you see that and you're like, wait, we were denied that? We're getting these silly ass commercials. Like, if I could have the option of, honestly, I can skip commercials, or just the fact that I have a Netflix subscription, because I lost track. I think now it's a case where if you want to try to check out your content on Netflix without ads, I think you got to pay like I'm not doing it. I'm not paying that higher. And if that means that I'm not going to be able to see cool moments like what just happened, okay, cool. But from what I understand, this thing with Trick Williams, that was an international thing. All that was shown for the international audience. So it just goes to show you, even if you are in America, like, and you pay the highest tier price possible there with Netflix, it doesn't mean automatically that you're going to bypass and see what the international audience is seeing. So, it is what it is. But moving along, Becky Lynch chatting it up there in the ring, promoting her appearance with Happy Gilmore 2 that's going to be coming up. And she calls out Lyra Valkyria. Lyra comes out, obliges her. And Becky Lynch pretty much saying, look, I made you a star. People are now talking about you and everything, and you got me to thank for that. But you know what? The free ride, it comes to an end, because at SummerSlam, we're going to end this trilogy. We're going to do this at SummerSlam. And Becky says that Lyra should do, like last time they went one-on-one, and agree to never challenge for the title again. And Lyra thinks that, okay, yeah, sure, I'll accept that clause and everything, but only if I can put in a clause of my own, and that is we do a no count out and no disqualifications type of match. At which Becky Lynch says, okay, cool, we can pretty much do that, but you need to respect not just this match that we're going to be doing. You got to respect me as well. You ain't shake my hand the respectful way last time. This go round, I'm demanding you shake my hand the respectful way. Come on, give me that respect. And Becky asks for the handshake, sticks the hand out. Pretty much a ruse. She was trying to get the jump in there on Lyra. Manhandle slam by Lyra Valkyria, pretty much knocking her ass silly. Becky licking her wounds very quickly and rolling out. From there, Women's Tag Team Championship match. Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez defending against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Roxanne, Raquel retaining their titles. About 12, 13 minutes. Solid action right here. Some weird movements that was going on though in this match. The real MVP of this was Dominic Mysterio being involved right before he knocked AJ on his ass to tell him he'd see him at SummerSlam. I still am a little bit concerned about Lyra, but all the stuff that's been going on with her work with Bailey and or Becky, that's definitely been helping carry her over. But I'm just so concerned that, okay, if we're going to do this type of match coming up at SummerSlam, is that really going to be enough of a gigantic band-aid? Because Lyra still has those fan connection issues that we've been talking about here on this show off and on the past couple of weeks and everything. But I don't quite know if it was a wise decision to put Dominic Mysterio, have him be somehow involved in this. I think they should have gone with either Balor or JD. That would have made more sense because after all, Dom had his own issues. Okay, he had his own issues to be dealing with here with AJ and the medical thing and all that. Really kind of took away from it as far as I was concerned. Sami Zayn back having a match against Karrion Kross. Remember, we heard this guy was on the shelf indefinitely. Jackie Redmond caught up to him. What's causing all this? How are you able to do this? Chocolate donuts. Jim Belushi, look it up. I don't know about Sami Zayn. I mean, I see Sami Zayn out there, and he's got the John Belushi, by the way. I apologize. John Belushi, not Jim Belushi. John Belushi, chocolate donuts. Look it up. I see Sami Zayn with the bandaged up ribs. I'm just automatically going, I know where we're going here. This should be a fun ride. I'm looking forward to seeing Sami Zayn because nobody takes that ass whooping as good as Sami Zayn. We all can definitely agree on that one. You know, this was a more of a refreshing match for once because we saw Scarlett Bordeaux, who I've been saying off and on for a couple of weeks. Can we see Homegirl get in more action? Can we see her get more of a piece of the action because she's just this silent observer who's not really doing anything. And I pointed out to you guys how, man, when I was watching her and Kross in NXT, Scarlett was doing more, devious things, in and outside of the ring. She really was the difference maker. She really, really was. Right down to the point where it's like, look, if you ain't got a really good counter for Scarlett, like if you ain't talking and buttering up one of the females in the back, come help you out at ringside, this is really a 2-on-1 fight that you're going into. So it was nice seeing Scarlett pulling on the leg of Sami, trying to get foreign objects in there and all of that. I gotta say, when I think about WWE now and how they are trying to properly utilize Scarlett, my hat goes off to them because when you really stop and think about it, not even when Vicky Guerrero was a regular on-screen character back in the day for WWE, she wasn't going to the lengths that Scarlett Bordeaux was doing in NXT, and now that Scarlett is doing, again, now that it's pretty much been revitalized, reimagined and all that. Now, her main thing was just talk. But now it seems we've got WWE Creative that, okay, we are fully committed to Kross and Scarlett. We want to, it's refreshing. It's really refreshing because Scarlett is giving me that, look, there's only one sensational Sherry, okay? But man, you just think about how she moved at ringside, all the foul shit she would be doing at ringside, making sure whoever she was, managing, valet for, whatever you want to call it, she was making sure they came out with the dub by any means necessary. And it's nice to see Scarlett be so much more than just a piece of eye candy, just standing there and ain't doing a damn thing, not even talking. And just now in recent weeks, she's being more physical. She's injecting herself more. She's talking more. I love it. And all while, here's the beautiful part too. All of what she's doing is not overkill. it's not even taking away from Kross. That's the beautiful part. I need people to really make sure they home in and understand that, because just because you have a manager slash valet, we got to be careful, because sometimes, they can pull a P. Diddy situation and it's all about them unintentionally. And when the spotlight is really supposed to be all on the talent. You feel where I'm coming from? So this was good. This was solid, what they did in here. Love the sheer display of physical brutality that was going on in here. Some weird spot happened in this match too, where Kross ended up bleeding. He somehow ended up bleeding around his mouth. I don't know what exactly had caused it. It was definitely within the last couple of minutes of this match, and I loved how Kross just pretty much embraced it, and he made sure that he rubbed that blood on the face of Sami. And, he rubbed the blood on his face. He goes in to kiss Scarlett, and he's realizing, I love this guy's brain and how he's just in real time, just spot on how he's thinking. He knows that he's got a camera on him, and he's just rubbing that blood in his face, quickly kisses Scarlett with that bloody face and whatever's going on with maybe the blood dripping from his mouth or whatever. Scarlett leaning in on that, right? They're selling it. Loved it. Good stuff. Good stuff. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Io Sky taking on Stephanie Vakir. We already talked about that matchup. Closing out the show was Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. They do address Seth Rollins. They pretty much admit that he is going to be out of action for a long time, but that pretty much, to quote Queen, they didn't quote Queen, but I will, the show must go on. Kind of interesting. I found myself recently revisiting that Innuendo album, that last album with Freddie Mercury and Queen. Great shit. Check it out. Check it out. Anyway, Roman Reigns comes out. Great pop from the crowd. Make no mistake about it, this is the same Roman Reigns as what we got before. Nothing has changed. This is literally still the same Roman Reigns. This is still the same bloodline Roman Reigns. He's just now OTC1, okay? But this was a nice little exchange between Roman Reigns, Heyman, and Braun Breaker. Bronson, not a factor on the mic whatsoever. Pretty much Roman hearing the sales pitch, the latest sales pitch by Paul Heyman. Now that Seth Rollins is out for a while, come and join my side. I got 2 big beef patties behind me. We can squeeze you in there. What do you say? I mean, that pretty much was it in a nutshell. All right? And Roman's like, yeah, look, there used to be a time when you were the wise man. I'd hear what you say. I take that into great advisement, but now you're just an asshole. So yeah, nah, I ain't doing that. That don't work for me, dog. So, and Roman just continued to come in there with the insults. I thought this segment was just a tiny little bit long-winded. They could have tightened it a bit more, but it was fine for what it was worth. Crowd, great atmosphere all throughout the night. They were eating every second of this up. So, and I was eating it up too. Roman pretty much letting really Braun Breaker know, hey, look, you're definitely, and I love how got that nice nod to Braun Breaker. You're definitely the future of the company, and Roman letting Breaker know straight up, it's only going to be a matter of time before once you get to a certain place in your career, Paul Heyman's going to turn on you, just as he did to me. Like, let's be for real. Bloodline is no more because of Paul Heyman, and Braun Breaker's pretty much his retort to that, because Breaker did eventually grab a mic and came right back at Roman. I thought Breaker, by the way, I thought he did a really good job in that mic duel. Very poised, very comfortable. I thought maybe he was going to stagger a little bit. I thought he was maybe going to let the spotlight get the best of him, but he seized the moment. He went in there very poised, very confident. Love that line he delivered to Roman where he says, yo, I've got value in this company. I've got promise, whereas you ain't got nothing, and pretty much telling him, yo, you got it all twisted. You think Heyman's gonna turn? Actually, surprisingly, what I was ready for Braun Breaker to say to Paul Heyman in front of Roman was, make no mistake about it, Paul's not going to turn on me, because I promise you, before Heyman can even do that, I'm already going to have the dagger in his stomach. And then just quickly just sidebars to Heyman, nothing personal. You understand, it's just business. And then go right back to talking to, cause that would have been a very interesting, okay, so here is Braun Breaker pretty much acknowledging he's aware of how Heyman likes to operate, but despite all of that, yeah, he's pretty much, this is a mutual transactional relationship that's going on. That would have gave us even more insight into where Braun Breaker is, and probably creatively as fans go, wow, you got to respect this dude even more, because now we know the game that he's playing. He knows his role here, and okay, cool. But it didn't go in that way. But regardless, Breaker still held his own pretty good and everything. After losing, Roman talked about how he went home to raise the future bloodline. The bloodline is family. Paul thought it was just some faction. Creating the bloodline was God's work. Roman tells Braun to back him up. Paul used to be a friend to the family, a business partner, and that Roman made Paul a part of the family and gave him responsibility. But Paul ultimately threw it all away for a best friend that he hadn't talked to in over a decade. And that nice reference to CM Punk. And again, Roman didn't ruin the bloodline. The dumbass Paul Heyman did. Nice back and forth, though, between Braun and Roman afterwards. Roman saying to Braun, yo, I didn't catch anything that you just said. Here, take my mic. Repeat yourself. Tosses the mic at Braun. Knocks his ass out with a Superman punch. Goes in there for a quick spear on Bronson Reed. Heyman, I ain't never seen my man clear the ring so fast before in his life. I didn't even catch when he left. That's how fast Heyman moves. So Heyman might be a big boy, but man, that boy know how to move real quick. Numbers game getting the best of Roman for a hot little bit. Jey Uso comes out for the save. Both of the guys end up doing double spears on both guys, closing out the show. Pretty much putting a pretty little ribbon around that, and we're getting one step closer there for Roman. Jey teaming up, taking on Big Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker. A lot of stuff woven in there. I love the fact that Roman still has this hard on for CM Punk. He still has not forgotten all about that. Essentially, this segment, this promo to Paul Heyman, basically, to quote one of my favorite lyrics from a Jay-Z song, shit was all good just a week ago. Okay? That's literally what was going on here. And then Heyman pretty much messed it up. Right? So, not only is Roman still salty at not only is Roman still salty at Paul Heyman, but he is also still pretty salty at CM Punk for his respected reasons. I can't wait to see what's going to play out going into SummerSlam. Some pretty solid stuff. Decent edition of Monday Night Raw. Nice, solid build and setting up SummerSlam there. So the way the card is currently looking right now, just to give you guys an updated lineup for SummerSlam. And we still don't know what's going to be happening night 1, night 2. So right now we got the Women's Intercontinental Championship, no DQ, no countout match. Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria. If Lynch wins, Valkyria can never challenge for the title again. Let's not also forget we got Randy Orton and Jelly Roll taking on Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. I thought Jelly Roll did really good, by the way, as guest host on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, by the way. And for those of you that maybe want to hear my thoughts just real quick on what I think about Stephen Colbert and his show being canceled and all that, I'll address that in a hot second. Let's go through the rest of these matches for SummerSlam. We've got the Intercontinental Championship match, Dominic defending against AJ Styles. Women's Tag Team Championship, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez taking on Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Meanwhile, for the United States Championship, it's a steel cage match. Solo Sikoa taking on Jacob Fatu. Elsewhere, the Women's World Championship, Naomi defends against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky in a triple threat. While another Women's Championship match, Tiffany Stratton defends against Jade Cargill. For the World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther defends against CM Punk. And for the undisputed WWE Championship, Street Fight, John Cena, Cody Rhodes. So that's how things are currently looking for SummerSlam, the weekend of August 2nd and 3rd. Going to be airing on Peacock and on Netflix internationally. Looking pretty solid there. So look, in regards to Stephen Colbert, you see how so many people are up in an uproar over what happened with Stephen Colbert. This isn't long-winded either. I'm going to give it to you straight up. I remember when Stephen Colbert was first named as the successor to David Letterman's Late Show. I'm going, I guess, but like, what are we going to do here? Is it going to be heavily politically driven? Because if it's going to be a satire, politically driven type of late night talk show, it might do well for a little bit, but that's going to drive most hardcore fans away. And sure enough, what I had said at the time to my friends, and because a lot of my friends and family, they know back then that I was a big David Letterman fan and a big Conan O'Brien fan. And they were like, what do you think? What do you think? Do you think he's going to? And I said, I'd be surprised if he can even make it 10 years. Like, I don't really, like, I don't know. When his show premiered, I watched a couple of episodes of that first year, and it was rough. It was rough. I just was like, yeah, I don't know about this. And I would poke my head in every couple of years just to try to see what was going on with him, how much has changed. But his format was always the same. It was still the same type of show. It was very politically driven. And, you know, at the end of the night, nobody's trying to go that heavy in politics and all that late at night. They just want to decompress. They want to let loose. They want to laugh to some really stupid shit. Stupid, silly shit. They don't want to be wired up thinking about, you know, he said what? You know, they don't want to do all that. So to hear that Stephen Colbert is getting canceled and everybody was in an uproar trying to figure, oh, is this politically driven? Well, you know, the timing of this does not. For CBS to basically say, look, we've got the receipts to prove it. You know, like the show, you know, what we're putting out, it's like $100 million. And we're lucky if we can even get back like 40 to 50 million of that. We're not really making a profit. If anything, we're continuing to lose money. So, you know, we got to recoup somehow. I mean, in a nutshell, and I'll gladly talk more about it when me and Tams get ready to sit down and do wrestling with the topics. But if you just want to pick my brain just from a distance, just at a glance, I legit believe two things to be true. I believe two things to be true. I believe that because Stephen Colbert said what he said when CBS/Paramount, they basically were like, okay, we're going to pay Trump and this administration, we're going to pay them just to kind of, you know, I do believe that came back to bite them in the ass, those comments. And I feel you guys as far as freedom of speech and yada, yada, yada. I do believe in that. But I also believe in, well, wait a minute, if the show costs this much and then this is happening, understand something. the seeds have always been there as far as late night talk shows. What I mean by that is Conan dipped out at the right time when he did. I guarantee you that if it's not already out on social media, somebody's going to be doing an interview with Conan and go, hey, as far as one of the reasons why you backed out, did you also kind of realize, hindsight being 2020 and just having the foresight of where technology is going, the digital age and all of that? Did you kind of say to yourself, yeah, I'm really concerned about the future of late night. I don't really think it's going to continue to be thriving as I bet you Conan would say, yeah, I definitely felt that way. We saw how NBC tried to experiment, and me and Tams talked about this, I think, last year, as far as the future of late night. We both made a bold prediction, which was, I think Tams went on record and she said that in the next 20 years, late night television will be no more. Like, that's it. Just across all the major networks, it will be no more. She said in like 20 years. Me, I think I said, nah, I kind of feel like in the next 10 to 15 years, late night TV will be no more. Because a lot of these networks, they're seeing what's going on with all, like a good example. How many of you guys like checking out Good Mythical Morning? I love those guys. They get into some weird, quirky, silly shit. And they got so many subscribers. They get so many views. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if networks try to go to people like them. They've already shown that with guys like Pat McAfee. Hey, look, we can take this webcast series and pretty much, can we lease this? Because we want to put this on our channel. What do you say? We want to put this on our network. Are you guys down? So I think that's going to be the future. Trust me, the landscape is going to be drastically different. Definitely in the next 10 to 15 years. Bank on it. Sound off. Let me know what you think. If you think I'm way off, if you think I'm on the ballpark, I'm on to something, let me know. But that's it in a nutshell as far as Stephen Colbert. Now, on a little bit, we got some more wrestling news we're going to be talking about too, by the way. For those of you that's like, hey, don't worry, your boys got you. Something that kind of ties into wrestling, that definitely is wrestling related, but it's also entertainment related. I want to take this quick sidebar. I want to get serious for a second here. And I want to wish nothing but thoughts, condolences. I want to offer prayers to the family, friends, colleagues of, and I don't like saying this, but the late Malcolm-Jamal Warner. That name should sound familiar to you guys. If you're around my age, if not older, you remember the hit TV series The Cosby Show, which dominated for so many years on NBC back in prime time, won so many awards. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was a breakout teen sensation, kid/teen sensation on that show. Even if I remember right, I think he won an Emmy for his portrayal of Theo Huxtable. And, everybody had whatever they wanted to say, be it good, bad, indifferent, especially amongst the black community as far as how, wait a minute, this isn't really an accurate portrayal of a black family. This isn't really, yeah, granted, more people resonated with Good Times, Charles S. Dutton and Rock, or insert whatever show. But the one thing that unanimously a lot of us that grew up watching The Cosby Show would all admit, of all our personal favorites, Malcolm-Jamal Warner's Theo Huxtable character, very relatable, very likable, definitely one of those characters where you legit saw yourself, hey, I got a friend that's just like that. Or I could see myself hanging out with a person like him. I remember I shared one of my favorite scenes involving Malcolm's Theo interacting with Bill Cosby. And I think this might have happened during the first season, but I remember, and I shared it on my social medias. It was the episode where Cliff Huxtable walks into Theo's bedroom after Huxtable Cliff finds out that Theo got like a shit ton of D's. He got like nothing but D's on his report card. And he's trying to get down to the bottom of what is going on with Theo. And remember, here's the thing. A lot of people forget this. We didn't know those earlier seasons, but it wouldn't be revealed until much later. Not too late, but much later, that Theo had a little bit of a learning disability. And that's why when you play certain things back, you're like, oh, so this is what, okay, that explains it. So Cliff goes into Theo's room and he's like, what's going on with your grades? We got to talk about this. And Theo's like, Dad, nothing to worry about. I'm not going to college. And Cliff is like, you damn right about that? Because he's pretty much like, you're damn right. Look at these grades. With these grades, yeah, you're not going to college. And he's like, look, I figured I'd get a job like the regular people. And Cliff is like, what do you mean regular people? Well, I figure I go push a taxi or, I drive a truck or whatever, regular. And Cliff is like, uh-huh. And he happens to see out the corner of his eye in the same room, there is a board game of Monopoly. And he says to Theo, so like, how much money do you think you're going to be making each week? Like, how much are you hoping to make? And Theo's like, I'm hoping I can make $250 each week. And Cliff goes, yeah, okay. All right, tell you what, let's make it $300 and then comedic and some of the best writing material in that 4-minute plus segment. You guys got to go out of your way and check it out. But it's like one of the first scenes that I remember. I also remember a later episode where Theo, again, he's like, yo, I can make it on my own. I can do this. I'll be all right. And hopefully I'm not suffering from the Mandela effect. But if I remember this right, if it wasn't Theo, I definitely remember it being a male character. So I'm assuming I feel like it's 80% it was Theo. But I remember Theo started being charged for like the least littlest thing. I think this was at a point where Theo was maybe getting ready to go from maybe senior high school to college or something like that. And he was being charged for the littlest thing. And I remember Raven Simone even charged him or whatever. Like he tried to make a sandwich at the house and he got charged for that. It was like some of the funniest, craziest shit that was going on. Anyway, it's nice to be able to, share memories of, some of my favorite moments of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. But for those that's not aware, he passed away over the weekend. Very unfortunate. He was swimming, apparently. I think it was out there in Costa Rica. And he got caught in the ocean, like the current waves and all that. He got caught. Fucked up way to go out. And he drowned. Now, who does that remind you of? Just kind of looping it back to wrestling. Who does that remind you of? May 17th, 2020. That's when we had found out as a wrestling community we lost Shad Gaspard. And just the way Shad passed away and all that. And now here we are all these years later and Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Very, very unfortunate. He leaves behind a wife, a daughter. I say that name and a lot of people may be under the impression, wow, there's a name that I haven't heard in so many years. Then he drop off the face of the earth. Well, as many of us that grew up on him remember, shortly after he was done with The Cosby Show, he went on to star in Malcolm and Eddie for about 4, maybe 5 seasons with comedian Eddie Griffin. And that was one of my guilty pleasures. I remember when the UPN network had launched, and that was one of the first shows that was named, and I remember hearing who all was going to be starring in it. I was like, oh, this is promising. This is going to be good. I thought that, great. You want to show your audience, if you're Malcolm-Jamal Warner, you want to show the audience that you've matured and, your comedic timing, like everything is still there. I thought it was a pretty damn good show. For what it was worth. I loved the show. It was one of my guilty pleasures. I had always held out hope that in this current age of revivals, reboots, I always held out hope that Malcolm and Eddie would maybe do a reboot, or a revival. But now that's definitely never going to happen. He mainly was doing a bunch of guest appearances. And when you go and you check out his IMDb, it's one of those scenarios where you go, what show hasn't this guy touched? I know he had a recurring role for about 96 episodes. I believe the name of the show was The Resident. 96 episodes. He was like one of the featured players on that show. But he kept doing a lot of TV appearances here and there. Definitely there's a show, when you go look up his IMDb, there's definitely a show where you go, oh, I used to watch that. And then you'll definitely be like, well damn, he was on. Let me go watch. Let me go see if I can pull that episode up. And he also won a Grammy Award back in 2015. He also dipped into music for many, many years. So definitely, definitely quite sad. You know, he's one of those actors, and I think I say this very well for Malcolm-Jamal Warner fans. You know, he's one of those actors where you go, had the looks, definitely wide range in acting, should have been a bigger name. Definitely should have been a bigger star. And then you're particularly looking at the Spike Lees, the Tyler Perrys, the name of the guy that created, what was that show? What was that show with Terrence Howard and Taraji P. Henson that was on Fox? The whole record label. Whoever the creator was for that, you were expecting like a Malcolm-Jamal Warner to somehow be incorporated with these directors, with these respected writers. Even when you look at stuff like Power on Stars, BMF, like you always just kind of picture like, well, you know, somehow this guy should be incorporated in stuff like this, right? You want to talk about For the Culture and all of that, like, for whatever respected reason, never came to be. Just kind of weird, but definitely rest in power to Malcolm-Jamal Warner, again, passing away over the weekend at the age of 54. Lighten up the mood a little bit, talking a little bit more about wrestling. Oh, by the way, let's look at the Raw polls when we're talking about it. Let's see how you guys have voted. I'm going on Twitter right now at the RCWR Show. See what you guys had to say about Monday's Raw, just to be going back. Sorry if that felt like a hard 180. 100% of you had gave the July 21st edition of Raw tonight a thumbs up. Appreciate you guys that had sounded off on that. Let's see how you guys had voted over on YouTube. YouTube.com/the RCWR Show. Click on the post section. Interesting. Right now, I am seeing it's early on YouTube. Usually it's a much better gauge during the day. I am seeing right now, though, a thumbs down. I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm starting to not, I don't like saying this. I don't like saying this. So please, live listeners that usually vote and then they check out the show, or, you know, you're kind of doing it at the same time. It's not you I'm talking about, but I am really starting to suspect that some people, when they see that YouTube poll, they are trolling. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I'm thinking that. I remember when we were, right before Slamversary was off the air, way before it was off the air, there was maybe about an hour to go of Slamversary programming. And something that I like to do personally, I like to, before an hour, before we go live for our post show, I like to put up a poll for that respected show. That way I don't have to worry about it once the actual show is over and then I got to spend a couple of minutes. Oh, I got to create this poll. I hate doing that. I like to put it out there early. That way I can focus more on my note taking, do a little final minute, okay, news items, you know, remembering some bullet points, things of that nature. So I put this Slamversary poll. I put that up. And I bullshit you not. Slamversary was not going on for another hour. And within 10 minutes, a couple of people had voted thumbs down. And I went, what the? That doesn't make, the show hasn't even gone off yet. And so I ended up deleting the poll, and I had put out a new poll. You guys can see it clear as day. I had said, how would you rate TNA Slamversary? Don't vote until you've watched the entire event. I have mods watching this poll in real time. It's not just me that's watching the poll. Sometimes Tams will watch whatever poll I put out randomly throughout the day, even at night. And then there's a friend of the show and a former classmate of mine that also, will watch the poll and anything weird. They all help me out with the YouTube channel. So I don't know. I think going forward, at least for YouTube, I think what I'm going to start doing is once whatever show is over, I'm just going to have a window. I took a picture before, but just to kind of explain my setup, because it's a cool setup, I've got an iPad tablet that's right in front of me. I've got my MacBook, I've got my mixer, and I've got my Alienware 17. And usually I got a bunch of browser windows that's open on the Alienware 17. One of them monitoring the health of the stream and, other stuff. So I think what I'm going to start doing going forward, at least for YouTube, is we're going to have everything ready to go. Whereas all I got to do is just press a button to publish. Boom, YouTube poll. Because right now, I got to trust what I'm seeing with the Twitter poll more. So if you guys want to prove me wrong on YouTube and you're like, no, Lee, you got it all wrong. It's not like that at all, brother. Here's the real deal. I hear you. But vote accordingly and vote properly. Let's talk Bill Goldberg. So Bill Goldberg, fresh after doing his retirement match on Saturday night's main event, did a interview with Ariel Helwani. And I've said this off and on for some years now, which is, don't be so quick to do these interviews, especially if it's a situation where you feel as though, that really did not quite go in my favor. I'm in my feelings right now. I don't like the way this went. I always say, don't be so quick to do those interviews. Just let a week or whatever go by. Take your time and all that. Then when you're ready, go on ahead and, okay, now you've settled down. Okay? However, whatever was going on with your feelings, some time has passed. Now you're a little bit more cooled off and all of that good stuff. Okay? Because I know if you put a microphone in my face fresh after something has happened, I'm going to give you my raw, unfiltered thoughts. And I guarantee you afterwards, I'm going to be like, yeah, you know what? I probably had no business saying XYZ. I still do that shit to this very day. I will post something. I just went through something a couple of months ago and I told Tams this. I said, the biggest mistake that I made was posting XYZ about this situation involving this person. And I told Tams, I said, I have every right to feel how I feel. But this was a teachable moment from the standpoint of I didn't have to post it. I can feel how I feel, but I shouldn't have broadcasted it. Now I know for next time. I'm looking at what Goldberg had said here with Ariel Helwani, and I just can't help but kind of feel, Bill Goldberg, you really, really should have not done this interview. You should have held it off for as long as possible until, you can get in a better headspace, cool off, and all that other stuff. Now, let me find the interview that is in question here. I think I found it. So let me go ahead.
Something like,
yeah, I got it. I got it now for you guys. Okay, so let me connect my iPad to the mixer here. And we should be rocking and a rolling in a little bit here. My mixer, what's going on here? probably because my phone is connected to the mixer. Let me try that again. Bear with me here, guys. We're experiencing, now we're connected. So this runs about a minute 21. Shout out to Ariel, Hawani, and crew. Let's listen in on this.
Built up.
It would help if we turned up the volume, yeah? Hang on, guys. All right, now we got it officially.
Throughout the years have built up to something like the ultimate rib. I guess that was the ultimate rib.
You
right?
think that was intentional? You think that was done on purpose?
I don't know. I'm not saying it was done on purpose by any stretch of the imagination. I'm saying that it wasn't prepared for on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. So they wouldn't do that to Taker, right? I don't think they wouldn't. They're not going to do that to Cena. Cena's going around the world doing his retirement thing. You know, mine was just the World Heavyweight Championship match. And to be honest with you, I'm going to catch hell for. I don't care. It was a World Heavyweight. Dude, I had World Heavyweight matches all the time. That doesn't do anything for me. It does, but make it different than just an angle, at least at the end, and do something, say something. I don't know. It just felt a little for me. That's all. That's it. And like I said, man, I'm not here to bitch and moan because I don't do that. And I'm not complaining by any stretch of the imagination. You asked me a question and I'm answering.
Yes, sir.
Last week. Okay, so that's Bill Goldberg thinking that WWE purposely cut his farewell speech short on Saturday night's main event. But as you had heard there, Goldberg is also, he also kind of insinuated there that as far as his match there wasn't enough build up, that he wishes that more could have been done there. I'm trying to see if I can find more, because I remember there was a couple of clips where I was actually, you know what? Let me go to my Twitter profile, because I bet you that is where it is, because I remember quoting and retweeting going, yo, what the hell? And I know I haven't really been interacting like that. So I should be able to find that with no problem whatsoever. But just hearing that first part and having my background in media production, understanding tremendously everything that goes into a scripted segment, especially when you are trying to prepare that scripted segment for live syndication, live audience consumption. Let me tell you something here. This is where ultimately all the pressure is on the talent. Plain and simple. All the pressure is on the talent. I'm going to explain something to you guys. I'm going to try not to be long-winded, but I want you to keep in mind what I just said. I remember one of the last projects that I worked in my television production class. It was for, hang on here. Here we go. Let me hold that thought. Here is the clip that I was looking for. Shout out to Jed via Twitter, where Goldberg said, and I quote, "I would have loved for them to announce it in January and have a build up to it and do something like that I thought was maybe worthy of my career. But let's just say they chose to do it with 3 weeks notice." Let me play this clip for you, and then I'll continue on my train of thought.
It would be different, but it was
48 seconds.
I would have loved for them to announce it in January and have a build up to it and do something like that I thought was maybe worthy of my career. But let's just say that they chose to do it with 3 weeks notice. And, It is what it is, man. It's part of the package. It's part of the meal that you get dealt, and I would be remiss in thinking that I thought the meal would be different, but it was shame on me for thinking that it would have been different. Don't you love the way that I've been able to navigate my words?
Yeah, no, you're fantastic at it. You're fantastic.
Anyway, I love Ariel. Ariel usually does really good interviews. Ariel is usually the king of great follow-up questions. But he left some territory here that really should have been right there on the spot. And I've always been a firm believer in if I set you up for it, right? Take an inch, I'm taking a mile, right? If you give me an opening, I'm gonna go in on it, okay? That's not me bashing Ariel. Feel me on this. So, looking at this from a productional standpoint, let's talk about what Bill Goldberg just said, and I'm gonna circle back to what I was starting to say a few seconds ago. All right, so you wish they could have announced it in January, done some type of a build-up. Okay, you thought that this would have been worthy of your... Okay, well, Goldberg, not for nothing, but a couple of times now, you've been crying foul with WWE over how some of your recent matches have been handled. Oh, I didn't like that outing. That was shit. We need a do-over. And like, after a while, it's kind of one of those, okay, you know how this particular system is. You know the people that are in place, yet you continue to put yourself in this position where it's like, I'm just going to go on ahead and, okay, but you don't already, in your own words, you don't already got burned a couple of times now. So, don't you know no better? Don't you know no good by now? Right? So, marinate on that, okay? Now, here's this other stuff. I'm going to link what all Goldberg just said. And shout out to Stevie Richards. I heard what I agree 1,000% with what he said. If you didn't hear what Stevie Richards had to say, go check out what he had to say. I want to specifically tackle it from a media production standpoint, since that's my wheelhouse. That's what I have a degree in. That's what I'm trying to have a career in. Okay? Feel me on this. There was a project that I did. It was one of my last final projects for the spring semester of this year. And this project, much like all the other projects that I had worked on for this class, we came up with a written script, which was basically, one was essentially a process message. What do you hope to gain from this? What is the impression you're trying to leave with the audience? What is your demographic as far as the age, the gender, income, education? Are you even trying to go the religious route? Are you trying to tap into a certain political bracket? Like we had to address all of that. And then came the script. And the script let me tell you something about the script when it comes to media production, when it comes to television production. The media script is the holy grail. It is the Bible. Okay? Because you literally are putting in one column, from this time frame to this time frame, this is what we hope to have that's going to be playing on the screen as far as graphics goes. If we need to introduce a title lower third, introducing blah blah blah's name, that's going to be right here, and it's going to be running for this many seconds. If we're going to have an intro card, that intro card, which maybe is going to consist of some type of a video playing and whatever, then we're going to have that right there. Any transitional scene, any B-roll footage, like that script is going to have everything on there. Also, that's going to be on that script is anything that the talent is supposed to be saying. Are they going to be just talking loose? Or is it going to be a case where, no, there is a script, word for word. Here is what this talent is going to be saying. It's going to run from this time until this time. All of that is on the script. Now, why am I going on and on and on about that? Because eventually, that is the script, that Bible. That is what essentially the director for the show and the technical director for the show, who are both at the switchboard, okay? They're both at the switchboard. And the director is basically going, camera 3, I need you to tighten up your shot on Bill Goldberg. I need you to get real tight on that face. He's got some blood starting to trickle down. I want to sell that to the viewers at home. Buy me, I'm going to buy you some time. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. Let me see what you got there, right? Get in position, camera 3. Camera 1, that looks really good. Camera 2, tighten up a little bit more on Seth Rollins there. Tighten up. Actually, you know what? Give me a wide shot on Seth Rollins, right? The technical director, all visual aspects usually, title cards, or maybe the technical director is kind of noticing something, maybe kind of off with one of the cameras, and maybe they want to say something too. They're able to do that, but it's mainly on the director, okay? All else, when it comes to that script, the technical director and the director, they know what is supposed to happen. Now, when you go to Saturday night's main event, I've heard so many people go, and you can go on my social media feed. You ain't never gonna see that I had said, man, that's so fucked up what they did to Goldberg, man. That's some cold fucked up shit. There's a reason for that, and I'm getting ready to lay it out. Everybody's going, oh, that's fucked up what they did to Bill Goldberg. Oh, no. Look, let me tell you something. Bill Goldberg, and people like Bill Goldberg. I love Bill Goldberg. Respect the hell out of him. I appreciate his contributions to the business. Okay? It's what you make it out to be. Plain and simple. It's what you make it out to be. So when Bill Goldberg says, I would have loved it if they could have now announced this in January and we do a proper build-up and everything like that. Okay, if that would have been me as Ariel Helwani, I would have said to Bill Goldberg, well, Bill, did you pitch this to WWE? And if you did pitch this to WWE, what did they say? That way we can shut that shit down right then and there, okay? But whatever thought that you have in your head, how many times have you heard me over the years on this show say, yo, for a lot of these talents, and they're trying to figure out ways to get themselves over, get that TV time. What's the one thing that we've talked about here over the years that a lot of the wrestling promotions are now basically going, you're trying to get over? You're trying to get over? You want to get more TV time? You want to get our attention? You want us to give you some opportunities? Well, what have we been saying over here over the years? Utilize social media. That's how a lot of these talents are doing it. It's gotten now to the point where WWE is pretty much like, okay, you're not happy with the TV time, lack thereof, that you're not getting, and you want us to invest in you? Go do some shit on social media. See what kind of engagements and all that you can get on social media. Why do you think Karrion Kross, Killer Kross, is getting all these opportunities that's been coming his way? That is because for years upon years upon years, he's been telling his stories on social media, and he's been doing it brilliantly. Production value, all that, everything has been a continuation of whatever feud that he's been involved in. Now, nobody is saying you got to go to the high production levels that Kross has been putting into his stuff. You can go the route of Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is another one that has done a phenomenal job in getting his game up, right? Up in his game and shit, right? And look at where he is now. CM Punk, John Cena, like the list goes on and on of people that know how to play the social media game so damn well. Okay? The final product, it is what it is as a result of how much work and effort you put into it. I'll never forget one of the final projects I did for my television production class. It was a one-sided, one-man band production because I did not get any help from my classmate who was supposed to help me with that project. He felt that his other classes were more important than working on this final project. And as a result of that, he also felt that, well, Lee is a very talented man. He's a well-diversed man. he'll be able to carry us through. Okay, but guess what? I should be able to make that choice. You should at least pitch that to me and see if I feel comfortable doing that rather than assume. And then I had a director that wanted to put so much creative input into the project when what I really needed for him to do, in all honesty, especially after the oh my God, the previous project that I worked on, where I relied, as well as my other classmate, we relied heavily on our director to come in with all this recorded footage that he volunteered. He would help record all that content, edit it, produce it, all that. We edited it, we filmed it. He volunteered to edit the content, and we gave him that content. And when it came to the day of the project, oh yeah, man, I ain't even do no editing. I ain't do nothing over the weekend. We're toast. So I had to take the remnants of that particular project, be a one-man band. And that director, bless his heart, had good intentions, really wanted it to be a collaborative thing. But where I really needed him to thrive the most, I really needed for him to thrive the most behind the camera, directing and doing what he did best, rather than try to put his creative input on what all we should be doing with that project. And it ended up being a one-man project. Why am I going on and on and on about this? Because that director ended up pulling me to the side and telling me about some of the issues that he had with that project. And I told him straight to his face, I said, this ended up the way that it did because I was essentially a one-man band. So if you want to come at me and talk about how this, I said, is this all coming from you or is this coming from the professor? Oh, this is coming from me. Because best believe, I went to the professor after that conversation. I said, here's my issues. What say you? My professor was like, I only care about you executing XYZ. You executed XYZ. That's why you got the grade that you did, which was an A. I'm like, okay, all right, bet. Okay. The project is what you make it out to be. And Lord knows I put a lot into that final project and it came up so short. I kept trying to brainstorm, pitch ideas and all of that other shit. I got nothing from the classmate that was supposed to participate. So I had to kind of inadvertently rely on my director, who I guess kind of felt, since it was basically me and him, that maybe he should get some type of creative credit as well. So I can kind of understand to a degree in retrospect, now that things have really cooled off, I can understand. But guess what? That's on me. I got to man up to that. Bill Goldberg, he's got to man up to the fact that, okay, man, like January, oh my God, we're going to be doing this. Like, okay, guess what, Bill? You got to pick up that phone, man. You got to call WWE. You got to go, yo, I got the coolest fucking idea on how we can really sell this whole thing with me and Gunther. Yo, you got to have me go ultimately on Stephanie McMahon's podcast. You got to have me go on Cody Rhodes' joint. Can I cut some shit on social media? Cause like I do some really good trash talking on social media. Can I like put some stuff together and, maybe like Gunther can respond on social media too? And is that okay? Can I do that? Can I get your blessing? Can I just go all balls out stupid? I mean, I'm going to be going out, retiring anyway. I might as well have some fun with this. Can I really go there? That way you're really properly building this up. Okay. Oh, I wish it would have been something worthy of. Okay. This sounds to me like somebody that was just sitting around on their ass and just, okay, yeah, I'm just here. I'm just waiting. Right. He says he's not a diva, but it's like, well, what the fuck? What, do you want them to just come knock on your door and like, here's a FedEx package. Here's this for you. Here's that for you. Here. Sometimes when it comes to that creative input, sometimes you gotta show that hustle. Sometimes you gotta show that just as they kind of care about that, you care about it too. and you got some ideas. You got to try to meet somebody halfway. If you're that type of person that always I just want to show up where they tell me to show up, do what they ask me to do, get my money, I just want to do my 8 and escape. If you're that type of person, then guess what? Oh, how come I didn't get no bonus? How come I didn't get no bonus money? Oh, how come I wasn't considered for that promotion? Oh, how come I didn't win no award? It's shit like what Bill Goldberg is saying right here, that pretty much, like, it's what you make it out to be, homie. It's what you make it out to be. So I'm supposed to feel sorry? I'm supposed to feel sorry for Bill Goldberg because he would have loved it if they would have made the announcement in January and done a build-up. But as far as what exactly he contributed... Now, look, I'll give him an out. I don't mean to rage and bait and rant. I'll give him an out. For all we know, because he's going, oh, well, in 2 weeks, I'll really be able... I guess that's when this, I don't know, an NDA or whatever is supposed to expire. I'll give him an out. But I really wish Ariel... And Ariel's normally a really damn good interviewer. I wish he would have done some of these follow-up questions. And go, well, did you pitch that to WWE? Well, what did they say? Now, let's talk about the other aspect of it. Oh, my speech was short. My speech was short. Oh, they ribbed me. They did me dirty. This was them, on their way out the door, because they won't have to work with me again. This was just them getting a one-up on me, but me and Triple H, we boys. Let's tackle that. This is all on the fault of Bill Goldberg. That's not me being a dick. I'm gonna give you a prime example. And a lot of the wrestlers, they know how much time, week in, week out, when they do these matches, whatever segment is going down, that referee is all part of the act. Yo, you got X amount of minutes. I can flip that back to what I've been learning over the years in media production. I have done live segment joints for TV where, okay, we've got X amount of time to get all of this across. Okay, let's do it. And that is why it is so critical. See, a lot of people don't really realize this. What makes a lot of the stuff that you're watching on television, be it from your favorite wrestling show, movies, a weekly episodic series or whatever, there is a lot of rehearsal that goes into it. Everything starts with a table read. Okay, how does that feel to you? How does that flow? Is there anything you want to change? Like, grammar wise, like, does this feel natural? Does this feel kind of forced? Like, what kind of tweaks would you make? You do all your fine tuning there as far as the table read before you get that official script down and everything. But when it comes to the actual, okay, now it's the day of filming, but we're going to do some rehearsals first, right? We're going to do a couple of run-throughs just to get a good feel for it as the talents. But then our camera crew, they need to get a good feel for where exactly they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to be framing within their shots respectfully. The director is playing around with some elements, all that stuff. This is where we fine-tune everything. Timing, visuals. This is why the rehearsals is so... You can't just go in ice cold and be like, it'll come together. Now, that's not how it works. You got to do a couple of rehearsals. Okay? So, if you got Bill Goldberg, who maybe was supposed to give a 10-minute speech or some shit like that, if he did not take the time out to talk in front of the mirror beforehand with his speech and, oh, damn, this is like 15 minutes over. Trust me, by the time he got to Saturday night's main event, Triple H, whoever, hey, you got this script? Yeah. What are you thinking? Oh, I was thinking, okay, well, let's get in front of the joint here, and just you don't need to have a microphone. We can hear you. We'll put a lavalier mic, clip-on mic on you, and you can just read that, and go for it. Okay, bet. While Bill Goldberg's in that rehearsal with that speech, Bill Goldberg's gonna be like, "How was that on time?" Yeah, that was 18 minutes. Da 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 da. You're gonna have to trim some of that. Yeah, you're gonna have to trim some of that. Okay, give me a minute. Let me see what I can do here. Okay, let's do it again and let's try this. They're gonna do another read through. How we do on that for time? Yeah, that was about da 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 da. Now look, accidents happen. Some freaky shit might go down. Do you have a general idea as far as the bullet points that you want to cover, and then that way we can kind of adjust on the fly? Oh yeah, I can do that without a doubt. Now let's loop this back to what happened with Seth Rollins and LA Knight. We can only imagine how much more time, if any, was supposed to go into that respected matchup. And then as a result of that, maybe it had ultimately required for Bill Goldberg and Gunther to go at it longer. But Bill Goldberg, knowing that he was supposed to do a speech and all that other stuff, this is where common sense comes into play. If I'm Bill Goldberg and Gunther, and I was watching earlier what had happened with Seth Rollins and LA Knight, I'm definitely going, hey, yo, Seth, is he all right? Like, everything good? Hey, can I still do my thing for that speech? Am I still allowed to talk as long, or am I going to need to adjust? You got me, right? You got me if we're kind of losing a little bit on time, right? Yeah, for sure. Okay. And then at that point, when Bill Goldberg is doing the match with Gunther, the referee is fucking right there. Look at the referee as a floor manager. The floor manager applied the same, that referee, replaced that referee, placed those guys in front of a camera for a TV series, a movie, a live newscast. That referee is replaced with a floor manager. That floor manager is literally telling the guys, all right, y'all, we're getting ready to go live in 5, 4, 3, 2. And then as far as the time goes, that floor manager is throwing up a joint going, you got 5 minutes. You got 4 minutes. You got 3 minutes. Right? If something's going on audio-wise where something that they're supposed to pick up from the talents, the director or technical director can communicate with the floor manager, and the floor manager can quietly relay that information to the talents. That is literally the role that the referee is in. So my whole point, Bill Goldberg at any fucking time could have pulled an audible and gone, okay, you know what? I got to get in all of my shit for the speech for the home viewers. Yo, Charles Robinson, or whoever the fuck the referee was, yo, ask them if we can take this home, because I want to get my speech in there. I want to get my speech in. Can we just take this home? I want to take it home. And I'm sure whoever that ref is, aka the floor manager, they said, yeah, go ahead, take it home. Okay, let's do it. And that's it. Ultimately, the power was on the side of Bill Goldberg. I'm not trying to hear this thing about time management and that it's the fault of Lee Fitting, Bruce Pritchard, Triple H. I'm not trying to hear that, because they've been doing how many shows for how many decades? NBC's been doing how many live shows for how many decades? Saturday Night Live, anyone? I mean, no, I'm not trying to hear that. So ultimately, this was a situation, and I can relate to this extremely well. Because I remember, again, going back to the final project that I had worked on. When I went in there cold, because I had my script, but I did not have a really good indication of how long my script was. And when we did the first couple of rehearsals, each time, because we did 3 rehearsals, each time I had my camera crew, I had both of my directors going, we got to trim that. That's too long. You're going to go over your segment. You got to trim some of that out. And I'm going, well, what can we do? What exactly can we take out here? And all of a sudden, everybody's giving me ideas. They're going, take this shit out. Take this shit out. Take that out. Leave that, but abbreviate it. Okay. All right. Done. Can we try again? Okay. Go. Then we do another read. Okay. This is kind of... Okay, tell you what. Let's do an actual recording. Let's try to get a really good feel, see where this is. We do an actual recording. This needs to be even tighter. You got to abbreviate it even more. When we did our 3 tape segments, I had to trim down each time till finally when we went to our final segment, my director was like, Lee, if you can somehow get this in 5 minutes. And I said, okay, let me just repeat that back. And this was my floor manager talking to me. My floor manager's like, Lee, so-and-so wants to know, can you get this down to 5 minutes or less? Because it's just too wordy. I said, yeah. I said, but let the director know to make sure that the teleprompter guy knows, don't try to follow me. I'm going to just, because I have the script memorized, I'm going to just abbreviate. I'm going to jump around. I'm going to keep it under 5 minutes, though. Okay, you sure? I said, yeah, I got it. Like, okay, bet. And when we did that final take, I had it exactly where we needed to be. And that's the end of it. Okay? Make no mistake about it, people. Nobody is questioning, and I really want people to really open their eyes and see what's being said on social media. Nobody's shitting on the match with Bill Goldberg. That's not the issue. The issue is for Bill Goldberg saying, WWE fucked me over on my speech, or WWE fucked me over because we should have done more of a proper build-up for my match, when it's what you're willing to jump in and do to get that job done. How much of a commitment are you willing to make? Everybody's been at school at some point. Everybody's got that one classmate that ain't going to contribute jack shit. They're just going to show up, do very little to nothing, and they expect to get full credit. Sadly, this was the case here with Bill Goldberg. And I know a lot of people are probably going to have their feathers ruffled by what I just said. But when you really understand where I'm coming from, which again is from a production standpoint, you can definitely understand, especially now, you're not going to really hear that many people, with probably the exception of Eric Bischoff, Jim Cornette, and even Dutch Mantell, just from the whole production standpoint, timekeeping, timestamps, and all of that. You're, besides them and maybe me, you're really not gonna get that. Instead, you're just gonna get the fuck Bill Goldberg, or, you know, and I'm not even saying fuck Bill Goldberg. I'm not even saying that, right? All I'm saying is you can only put blame on so many people before you ultimately have to go, well, what could I have done differently? What should I have done differently to be part of the solution and not the problem? I'm giving him an out. Maybe there's more. Maybe he just couldn't get into it on that interview. But that's where I'm going to leave things with the talk of Bill Goldberg for now. That's where I'm going to be leaving things. Other than that, shout out to CJ Perry, Lana. Apparently she is set to be having a debut novel as part of Paradigm's book to film publishing collaboration. So shout out to her for that. Remember, she re-signed with the WWE a couple of months back, right at the same time as Rusev. So I'm really hoping that it's just a matter of time before we see her back in the WWE ring. Sure would be nice. I'll tell you that. And also, not sure if you guys are aware of this, but what is she calling herself now? It'll come to me in a little bit, but the woman that you all knew as Cora Jade. Remember, shortly after she got released from WWE, she decided, okay, well, that's all right. I'm just going to do my thing on the independents. I'll be tearing it up, all that good stuff. Well, she made a announcement that she is going to be stepping away from the ring altogether for the foreseeable future. She shared a post earlier today where she said, I originally had a 10-minute long video explaining where my head's at, and maybe eventually I'll post it, but seems unnecessary for now. I'll keep it short, but I am going to be taking a break from wrestling for the foreseeable future. It's no longer good for my mental health, and I'll never know if that love for it I once had will return if I don't step away. I'm going to take the rest of the year to take care of me and go from there. I apologize to fans and promoters who were looking forward to / booked my upcoming appearances. I hope you can understand. To my supporters, thank you. Bree / Alana. Let go or be dragged. I mean, look, it sucks what happened here with what Alana Black, that was the name, that's the name she's going under now on the wrestling circuit. As far as I'm concerned, and I've said this for years, when you're in this type of a headspace, the last thing you want to be doing is be in a ring and whatever is going on in your personal life, just the totality of it, it's messing with your head. The last thing you need is when your mental and physical health is not where you need it to be because of outside noise. You don't need that happening and carrying over with you while you're trying to work with your dance partner. Because just as you are responsible for them, they are definitely responsible for you. You guys need to make sure you both are doing your due diligence to make sure you both are able to get out of that ring still in one piece. So for her to take a step back, I hate speculating. And you know me, I've been doing this show for many, many years now. I don't like speculating on what is going on with a person. I like dealing with facts. And the fact is, she's not in the right headspace to be doing wrestling. To that, I say, hey, if you're really a fan of hers, the best thing that you can do is offer your thoughts, best wishes, and that whatever is going on with her, she takes all the time that she needs. Take care of herself. Get that house in order. A lot of us can relate to this because although we may not be able to relate to it from a wrestling perspective, we can definitely relate to it from a life perspective. We can relate to it from the standpoint of, well, you know what? I got this shit that's going on, and this is going on over here. Like, not for nothing, and I'm not going to go into the details, but I had a very candid conversation with the wife over the weekend. I was telling her how, my God, I understand your role at work and how you wear so many different hats and you're so many things to all these people at work. But when it counts the most and it comes to you taking care of yourself, your mental health, your physical health, like, you're not doing it. And you're starting to pay for it. A lot of us are definitely kind of in that situation, or we know someone that's in that situation. So to hear that she's going to be taking a step back and all that, Godspeed. Just do whatever you got to do. And look, not for nothing, but there's some people, look, I've had friends that either at one point were involved in the wrestling business for many, many years. I know people that are currently in the business. And at some point, like this type of stuff, it happens. It's more common than you think. It's actually more common than you think. So whatever is going on with her, I definitely wish her nothing but the very best, and Godspeed, Godspeed for sure. Eric Bischoff, we were talking about him just a little bit there briefly because he's definitely another one that knows a thing or two about television production. He knows a thing or two about writing scripts and all of that. He sounded off about TNA wrestling, something that I've been saying for years, but not quite the poignant remarks that he made. He said that he believes TNA wrestling can surpass AEW to become the number 2 promotion within the next year if they can get the right TV deal. I want you guys to listen to this piece. This is about 2 minutes, 38 seconds. And this is my first time hearing this particular. This is my first time hearing this particular piece, but I definitely want to listen to this and experience it with you guys in real time here. And I'll sound off afterwards.
And they're making a lot of smart decisions. I remember when Carlos came on, they made an announcement when Carlos came on. And I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. But
you mentioned Carlos. That's Carlos Silva, the TNA current president.
They're growing incrementally, right? And they're doing it almost quietly. Like they're not out there thumping their chests and talking about taking down the competition and all the, the crazy stuff that, for example, AEW did in the very beginning. They're just quietly going about their business, producing great shows, bringing in great talent, and getting involved with great partnerships, and they're growing their business. And that's the part that excites me, watching a business grow, especially a wrestling business. Got a little bit of an affinity for it.
Yes.
So it's been fun watching TNA grow.
It's been shocking somewhat for me because I felt like they were almost dead a few years ago, right? It just felt like they were going nowhere, that they had no momentum, and now all of a sudden, 7,600 at a big arena last night. The deal with WWE has obviously been beneficial, but it just seems like they have a ton more momentum than maybe 3-4 years ago.
They're one deal away from being a major player.
Wow.
If they get a broadcast partner, if they get the right broadcast situation, because they've got the product, they know what they're doing. There's a good team of people. They just need a bigger platform. And if they get it, watch them take off.
Are you surprised by this? Did you think they were dead?
I'm surprised by it.
Yeah.
I wrote them off a long time ago.
It felt like they had, there was no sizzle. It was gone.
There was no sizzle. There was no steak. There was no plate.
There was no nothing.
There was no pan.
Yes.
There was no anything.
Could they, at some point, pass AEW? They'll never get to WWE. Let's not get crazy. But do you think they could be number 2? Do they have what it takes?
By this time next year.
You think so?
I think so.
This time next year, Eric? Really? It depends on the TV deal, though, right?
Depends on a TV deal.
If the TV deal isn't a big one, isn't a great one, that will be tough.
Damn near impossible.
Right. But you feel like they could do it this time next year.
With the right television partner.
They're number 2 this time.
What's number 2? By what revenue, by what measure do we define a number 2? But I think in terms of television ratings, popularity, yeah, they could be number 2 in a minute.
What are they doing right that you think AEW is not doing?
They're just doing the basics. They're doing the basics and they're producing a show for the mainstream wrestling audience, not for that 10% hardcore sicko that everybody thinks is a cool demo, because it's not.
What's good?
Yeah.
And they're making a lot of smart.
I like that. Shout out to Ariel Hawani for that clip there, making that be available. Eric Bischoff, you know what? He is definitely on to something, and I'm not just saying that to be agreeing with him. I'm definitely coming from the standpoint of somebody that has poked their head on social media, checking out clips of what TNA Wrestling is doing and trying to stay up to date that way. And I got to tell you, with what I had saw of the Slamversary show from the weekend, which if you guys have the money and you're able to check out the encore, definitely do it. Hell, even if money is a little bit tight, but you know the right places to look to access Slamversary, I would even say go check it out. But it definitely made me go, yo, I definitely want to try to see if I can somehow start watching TNA Impact on the regular again, because I really liked what I had saw from Slammiversary. They understand the demo audience in general that they're trying to go for. They're not out there bragging and, hey, my dick is bigger than AEW's, or, haha, take that, WWE. Like, they're not doing that. They're letting their talent and the work speak for itself. A very simplistic blueprint, what they're doing. And Eric Bischoff, largely in part, was doing this interview with Ario to promote his promotion that's coming up, Real American Freestyle, RAF, which is a new professional freestyle wrestling league co-founded by Hogan and Bischoff. Remember, it was announced April of this year, and their series premiere is going to be happening Saturday, August 30th at the Wolfstein Center in Cleveland, Ohio. It's going to be broadcast live on Fox Nation. Remember, Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle is supposed to be one of the color commentators. So I actually will check it out. I will definitely check it out, and I will circle back. And, of course, we'll be talking about it right here and everything. He's got a really good point, because something that I've been saying for years in regards to that Access TV deal that they have. And I won't bore longtime listeners with the specifics about that Access TV deal. Okay, how it came to be and all that other stuff. But when it's all said and done, the one thing that you got to keep in mind right now, Access TV, it is only available on certain networks, and it's a very short list. So, like, if I were to say to you it's available in like 32 million households, you would go, wow, that's a pretty big number. That's huge. That's actually pretty good. It's really not. Especially when you break down, okay, well, let's talk turkey. Who is carrying this Access TV? And it's a very short list. You've got AT and TU Verse, some Xfinity outlets. You've got Spectrum, and you've got Frontier. You also have DirecTV and Dish. And then for streaming, you got DirecTV, Stream, Sling, and Philo. Strictly online, that Access TV is available. So for a lot of people, it is a challenge to stay on top of what is going on. One of my kids is barking. Hang on here. Let me see what's going on here. Hang on. Let's see here. I knew I heard something. I knew I heard something here. Okay. You want to say hi to the people at home? You want to say hi? Huh? All right, we're going to wrap up the show in a little bit. I think my furry little daughter, Precious, here, I think she wanted back on the bed, but she's a little miserable right now because it's that time of the month. Yes, female dogs do get that too. Yes, but where was I? Yeah, it's like Access TV. It's only available, but on so many networks and everything, and until TNA can get that right type of deal where there's definitely a lot of eyeballs on them. They need like that. Honestly, they need like that CW deal. They need like a WGN kind of deal. They need that deal where, like, no matter what, no matter who your cable or satellite provider is or what streaming platform you're on, you definitely will be able to access checking out the content, right? If WoW Women of Wrestling that has a great syndication partner and all of that with the CW. If they're able to do what they are doing and their numbers have slowly been building and all that other good stuff, then I don't see why that in 2025 and beyond, TNA Wrestling isn't able to pretty much do the same thing. I agree with Eric Bischoff. I do feel that they are one TV deal away from helping TNA get to that next level. Now, as far as if I think it's going to be happening this fall, no. At this point, I feel that come spring of 2026, so essentially second quarter of 2026, I feel that TNA Wrestling is going to be able to announce something. But I definitely think it's on the cards. It's going to be happening much sooner than people anticipate. But that's the earliest that I am estimating, I would say. Bryan Danielson recently went on the Nikki and Brie Bella show, and he addressed whether or not he was cleared to do some of the moves that he did in All In Texas a couple of weeks ago. And he said that some of them he had cleared, some of them he didn't, but he was feeling it, and he said, to be fair, Dr. Sampson wasn't upset, but he did think I was an idiot. And no, I'm not back. Remember, that was one of the $1 million questions we were hoping that maybe Tony Khan would address, whether or not Bryan Danielson, and nothing ever really materialized online from that All In press conference. I'm looking at my daughter. She's looking at the door like, I'm just chilling. I think now she's chilling. She's relaxed finally. But no, Danielson is not back wrestling in AEW just yet. To be continued. Other entertainment news. Superman continues to do well in the box office. They've now reached a point where they've finally broken even. I think all the continued praise that is out there on social media, that's now making people go, wait, so many people are liking this. Wow, this person said this. And like, it's a combination of your regular Joe Flows, non-social media influencers, your favorite podcasters like myself and others. Now it's really trickling on down, and people are going, okay, let me give this a shot. Let me go check it out. And then it does wonders when you see guys like Marvel's own Kevin Feige say, I saw Superman, I loved it. Great interpretation of the character that they're doing this go round. Like, all of that it helps. It really, really helps big time. I know Brandon Roth talked about how he cried at 3 particular scenes. And when he mentioned those scenes, I'm going, yes, I get you from an emotional context standpoint. Yes, I feel where you're coming from. There was one scene that he talked about where I definitely said out loud, I said, I did cry at that scene myself. I know one of the scenes that I actually legit shed a tear for was when Clark was talking to his dad. And that was just a powerful, it was heavy. It was just so heavy. It resonated with me. It really, really did. Mahershala Ali, as far as his involvement with Marvel Studios and Blade, little update for you guys. Kevin Feige, because he did like he put out just buckets of information. He did say that a new Blade movie is still happening with Mahershala Ali set to star in the film. Looks like it's going to be taking place in modern day MCU. And meanwhile, Eric Pearson is currently writing the script for Blade. Now, that name may not sound familiar to a lot of you guys, but take this comfort, because when you hear this guy's resume, you're automatically going to go, we're in good hands. He previously worked on the Fantastic Four, First Steps, which is getting a lot of rave reviews, Thunderbolts, which was very well received, Godzilla vs. Kong, Thor, Ragnarok, and Transformers 1. So that gives you a little bit of an idea that, again, it's in the right hands when it's all said and done. Feige also addressed, what's wrong, little buddy? What's wrong? You want to go back out? I was like, 1 minute she wants in, and then the next minute she wants back out. I don't know what's going on with her. Go ahead, little buddy. Go ahead, little buddy. I don't know where you're going, but go ahead. She wanted back on the bed. That's what's going on. Okay, she doesn't feel like jumping up. She can jump pretty good on high places, which is just, it's impressive. But I think because she's got her visitor, she can't quite jump as well as she would like to. So anyway, Feige also shed some light on what's going on with the Spider-Man Miles Morales. For those of you that might be a little bit curious, he was more definitive on the highly anticipated character crossing over to the MCU in the near future. He pretty much said it's going nowhere right now because Sony Pictures still has film rights to that character up until 2027 when they finally complete their final Miles Morales Spider-Man project. After that, that's when Marvel Studios is going to be able to acquire and have a nice, fun little field day with it. So in the meantime, they've pretty much been told hands off. While I'm thinking about it, I know there was something of a chatter that happened recently concerning Static Shock. That's definitely one of my favorite beloved characters. Love the character. Right up there with Black Lightning as far as I'm concerned. And it's funny to see how the comments for that originally came down. A lot of people thought that because it was James Gunn that actually brought it up. And James Gunn was like, that's a very complex, there's a lot of, and people kind of interpreted that as, oh, it's a race thing, huh? And in actuality, that is much like the Spider-Man Miles Morales character, where you're looking at who has the exclusive rights. And when you look at how the Static Shock character is tied there, it's a headache right now, because there's a lot of hands at play when it comes to that particular character. It's much complicated than what was going on with Spider-Man and them for the longest time owning the Spider-Man IP. It's much more complicated than that. But if they can pull something off with Black Lightning, I'm just saying. Cress Williams did a fantastic job as Black Lightning. I'm just saying, maybe they could go on ahead and look into that. Marvel Studios, meanwhile, their phase 6 of movies, this is how it's looking in the order in which is going to be coming out. So we got Fantastic Four, First Steps, July 25th. Then we've got Marvel Animation's Eyes of Wakanda on August 27th. We have the new Wonder Man series on Disney Plus. That's going to be December of 2025. Daredevil season 2, Born Again, March 2026. Punisher special, that's being filmed right now with John Bertano. That will be premiering sometime in 2026. Marvel Studios Spider-Man Brand New Day, July 31st, 2026. Vision Quest, new series for Disney Plus. That'll be in 2026. Avengers Doomsday. Fucking A, one day after my birthday, December 18th, 2026. I know what I'll be doing. By the way, stay connected to the YouTube channels because I've got in my possession the newly released Marvel Legends actual adult size, one size fits all replica of the Doctor Doom helmet. Comes with a hood and everything. Oh, you definitely want to keep it right here. That thing, ooh. I haven't even opened it yet, but just, ooh, that's all I got to say. You got to keep it right here. There is a Marvel Studios untitled film. Maybe that could be the new Blade. July 23rd, 2027. And then Avengers Secret Wars, December 17th, 2027. All that is going to be going down. All of that I just read to you from Marvel Studios, that's all part of Phase 6, by the way. All part of Phase 6. Other than that, as far as any other wrestling news, headlines, things of that nature goes, relatively quiet for the most part. Nothing really too much else for us to get into. So I'm going to say let's go ahead and let's stick a fork in it. Let's call this episode DONE done. One thing I will share with you guys, and you can see this a lot more as I'm going to be putting out a video on YouTube. Hey, it came. Check it out. The Regal, let me actually put this in front real quick. The Regal Cinema Superman popcorn bucket. I got this over the weekend. This is a freaking beast, let me tell you. Wifey had got this for me as part of a celebration gift for getting my associate's degree and all that. And I love it. It is like the coolest. Now, I know we got the Galactus popcorn bucket. I can't wait to review that and have that be somewhere chilling here in the man cave. But that thing is huge from some of the videos that I have seen online. That thing is huge. I cannot wait to check that out. So look, as far as quick programming notes go, I know for a fact me and Towns are going to be sitting down and we're going to be recording a bonus show for you guys. So that's definitely going to be in the pipeline. Most likely we'll be dropping that this weekend. But in the meantime, I want you all to be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads, wherever you get your podcast. Just search the RCWR Show. I want to thank friends of the show. Shout out to Julian Cannon of Digiday and the Nocturnal. Also shout out to Mitch Thomas and Joe Numbers of Wrestling Soup. Love you guys. Also, I want to give a special shout out to one of our newest sponsors. I'm happy that we're going to be hooking up with them for the next couple of months. I remember when these guys had first reached out to me a couple of days ago. I said, well, let me get a link. Let me check you guys out, see what you're all about. And they're definitely up my alley. I've been checking them out off and on since. I'm talking about the IME radio station. We are brought to you in part, powered to you in part by the IME radio station, where you can discover fresh indie artists, new genres, and the future of music streaming 24/7. Again, that's called the IME radio station. Happy to be working with these guys. You can get at me all throughout social media. Use the keywords of the RCWR Show. For those of you that's going to be waiting for the audio version of this, give me about 45 minutes. I will gladly upload this episode ASAP for your downloading pleasures. And until next go round, wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. Hit the likes, subscribe, all that good jazz. Take care, y'all. Peace.